Years ago, there were loads of websites, apps, and resources that teachers could use to supercharge their teaching or their course resources. Many of them were free to play with, and frankly, it was a good time to be alive. Then along came the GDPR data protection rules, and the realization that these apps were only free because they were covertly collating every piece of information about your life and selling it to the highest bidder. Since then, any application or tool we use has to be GDPR compliant and tucked safely behind layers of technical computery-wootery protection, leaving us pretty much with just Microsoft and Moodle. The limitations of this was thrown into sharp relief during the pandemic, when students were heavily dependent on online course resources. And more often than not, those course resources consisted of PowerPoints using the same tired templates or Word documents formatted with all the style and pizzazz of the terms and conditions on a mortgage agreement. Which is fair enough when you think about it. After all, you want your economics teacher to be good at, economics and teaching. You don't expect them to be expert graphic designers as well. But minimum expectations for online content have changed greatly since the days when the most exciting thing you saw in a classroom was an overhead projector. Our students are used to consuming content, even in textbooks, that understands the importance of visual impact and its value for engaging readers. Whether we like it or not, our trusty Word document with 3 pages of single-spaced Times New Roman is now just boring. But the good news is help is at hand. Of course, anything that involves students or student information still needs to be conducted safely behind GDPR safety barriers. However, this doesn't mean that we can't use some of the incredible tools available that mean that teachers don't need to be expert graphic designers to produce dynamic and interesting course resources. In this video, we'll be looking at just a few amazing tools that you can use right now to add dynamism to your docs and pizzazz to your pictures. Let's start with the most obvious. Many of you will probably already have heard of Canva. Over the last few years, it's grown incredibly in popularity because it makes it so easy to create things that would, in days gone by, have required a postgraduate qualification in Photoshop. While there are other apps out there that do something similar, like Kittrel and Designer, Canva has become something of a go-to app for educators, mainly because it offers so much as part of a free account. Although you will get used to seeing these little crown symbols that indicate different functions and tools that are only available with paid accounts. The terms of use state clearly that any content you create in Canva is yours alone, which is good. The privacy policy shows, though, that your personal information will be used for advertising purposes. This may not bother you. After all, it's no different to the policies you're probably already signed up to unknowingly through Apple, Microsoft, or WhatsApp. However, if it does concern you, an easy way around it is to create a brand new email account just for the purposes of signing up to platforms like this, keeping it separate from any accounts you have with more personal information inside it. When you are signed into Canva, you will have a simple home page from which you can choose from a huge array of different templates. At the moment, Canva are aggressively pushing their new AI platform, Magic Studio, but unless you have a pro account, it's not really worth going there. In terms of education, Canva is really pitched primarily at K-12 teachers. If you are teaching at this level, then you can actually get the equivalent of a pro account for free. And the Education Library has thousands of resources for K-12 curricula. However, I'm just going to show you some of the things that might be of use for higher education. You can see the different types of resources available across the top of the homepage. Clicking on the magnifying glass will bring up all the different templates that are part of that category. At the top of the templates page, you can see all sorts of subcategories that will help you refine your search. In the project schedule category, for example, there are lots of different templates that could be used to create a rather beautiful module outline for your students. You may find it worth using this little filter here, limiting what you see to just the templates that are free to use. Otherwise, you might find something brilliant and get all excited, only to feel disappointment when you realise it's only available for premium users. When you find a template you want to use, just click on the button. Double-click on any text to change it, and select any part you want to delete. At the top, you have the option to duplicate the page if you want to add more sections. It is worth noting that almost everything you create in Canva will not be editable once you download it. So, for example, if I go to File and Download, none of the options are for an editable document. The best option is a PDF, which I can download and then upload into my course page. Or an image file like JPG, which I can insert into a Word document as a picture. Perhaps some of the most useful templates, though, can be found in the Graphs and Infographics categories. Infographics are simply better designed ways of presenting quantitative information. If you want to present information to students in a way that creates a visual impact, engages them more, and helps them to remember the information better, then you want an infographic. Here we have some amazing templates that can be used to present project timelines, key information for assignments, and of course data. For example, let's look at this data infographic. There are a number of different types of charts here, and we can click on any one of them to edit it. I can change the figure of a man, for example, and swap it for a car. I can increase the total number and the filled number to represent different percentages. Pie charts and bar graphs can be edited just as you would any data in Excel. And if you don't like the colour or the look of your infographic, you can use the Styles tab to change the colour scheme, the fonts, or even pick up the style from a recent design you've been using, enabling you to create multiple documents all with a consistent styling. Of course, there are loads of other things you can do with Canva, and we will be making a more detailed video about all of these at some point in the future. As a simple way to create visually engaging and appealing resources, though, Canva templates are a really great option. AI image generators may have some people running for their nuclear bunkers with a trolley full of canned goods, but for teachers they can be a great way of not just making it quicker to create content, but to create content that works better. There are a lot of places where you can use AI to create images, including Canva, but most of these platforms will charge you. All except one, and that's the Bing Image Creator. And how can it help teachers? Well, pictures are things that we all like to throw into our course resources, whether it is pictures in our course headers on Moodle, pictures to accompany headings in our course handouts, or pictures to sit alongside our bullet points in our PowerPoints. We've already talked about the need to improve the look and design of our course resources, and it is tempting, especially when we're overworked already and don't have an instructional design background, to look up some roughly related images on Google, throw them in and call it job done. But there are lots of problems with this. To begin with, most of the images we might find on Google are almost certainly copyrighted. We shouldn't actually be using them because they belong to someone else. And it does make it rather difficult for us as teachers to talk to students about academic integrity if our slides are piled high with images we nicked from the internet. Equally, though, there is a very good chance that by doing this, we are inadvertently making it harder for our students to learn. This is because of something called cognitive overload. Cognitive overload tells us that any time we add pictures that are not essential to the learning objects, we increase the amount of extraneous or irrelevant information, increasing the effect of cognitive overload and actually making it harder for our students to process the bits of information we really need them to. There is a lot more we could say about this, but if you'll allow me to oversimplify things for the sake of concision, if we're going to use pictures in our course materials, they need to be few, relevant, and useful, which makes the job of finding the right picture all the more important. For example, I might want to talk about cognitive overload, and I want my students to have a simple visual cue that will help them to remember the concept, say an image of maybe somebody having too much information stuffed into their heads. Now I could type this into Google, search through thousands of different images, find a good one, realise it's copyrighted, search again, not find anything particularly appropriate, and end up simply choosing something that requires students to make a huge tangential and conceptual leap in order to connect it to the thing they need to learn. Or I could use the Bing Image Creator. Type in the cue. All right, not bad, but it's not very simple, it's a bit confusing. Let's specify that we want, say, just a line drawing so that the image isn't so jumbled. Okay, better, but the image is still really busy. I could still do with it being simpler. And at the same time, it would be nice to have some colour as well. Okay, this one will do. It's colourful, simple, and can be clearly connected to the issue of cognitive overload. I can now use this picture every time I refer to cognitive overload, and the students will be able to associate the picture with the idea. What's more, I can learn from the descriptions I've just given. Clearly, using simple line drawing in colour will give me a particular style of image. I can use those same style descriptions to make all the other pictures I need to fit the same style. The Bing Image Creator is great for finding decorative images that can be used as memory cues in your course resources. However, sometimes the image itself is the basis of your learning activity. H5P have a brilliant wee tool for just this kind of thing, and it's called Image Hotspots. H5P has been around for a long time now, and many of you may already have seen it plugged into Moodle. For this example, let's look at how it works inside Moodle. There are a number of ways that you can add H5P content, and they all begin by adding an activity. Here we can see the H5P activity. If we select it, we see this menu showing the different kinds of activities available. I'll select the image hotspot. I'll give it a title and upload my image. Of course, we need to add alternative text to be used by assistive technologies. Down in the hotspot area is where I choose where I want to put my hotspots. To make it easier, I'm going to click on this expand button so that I can see the picture better. Using the crosshairs, I can place the spot anywhere I want, so I'll just put it here over the aorta. I'll give this hotspot an appropriate name, and I'll add some text, a short description. Great! Now I'll click on this button to add another hotspot, and I'll pop it just over here, over the pulmonary valve. For this one, I have a rather handy YouTube video that I can add. And here's my picture with the hotspots. It's that easy. Now this next app is something that can help you with your PowerPoints and maybe save you a lot of time as well. Now PowerPoint is a really amazing piece of software. There are just so many different things you can do with it, and it's packed with all sorts of features, galleries, design options and templates for creating interesting presentations. However, it is possible that some of our students may be, frankly, a little bored of PowerPoint, especially if we're still using PowerPoint templates from a few years ago, when there weren't many of them and they were all criminally overused. SlidesGo is a site that offers tons of free presentation templates that give you a whole new range of resources for creating your slides and to inspire your design choices. Now this alone makes it a pretty decent tool. You can even download these templates without having to create an account. However, if you do sign up, then you have access to a new little tool that you might not notice on a first visit. Scroll down the front page and you'll see this box with a link for making presentations using AI. And for all its unassuming position hiding down here, this tool has the potential to be really quite amazingly useful. Just click on the link and then select the option to get started. And this right here is where the magic happens. I can type in the topic for my presentation, and the AI will automatically create a full presentation, with each slide populated with information about your topic. Of course, as with anything using AI, this needs to be accompanied with a certain health warning. It might not always work, and the information in the slides might not always be accurate or relevant. But the point of this tool is not to do all the work for you. It's to get you going, to give you an outline that you can work with, saving you the trouble of facing a blank screen and wondering how to get started. Now, this final suggestion is not really one app, but a combination of apps: ChatGPT and Google Chrome. Here I am, I've got this journal article that I want students to read, but I don't just want this to be a passive exercise. I want to get the students to do something with it. Of course, the simplest way to do this would be to have a short multiple choice quiz about it. But multiple choice quizzes can be really time consuming to create, and this is where AI can come to our aid. First, you need to ensure that you are using the Google Chrome browser. If you're not already using the browser, you can easily download it for Windows or Macs. Once in your Chrome browser, navigate to the Chrome store and search for ChatGPT Summarize and Chat. Once you've added the extension, you'll see this little icon on the toolbar of your browser. Just one click of this button on the toolbar and ChatGPT will be reading through the document for you and summarizing it. And there it is, a summary of the article's key points created in seconds. As with SlidesGo's AI presentations, this does come with a health warning. The AI will not always be accurate. The points highlighted may not necessarily be the ones you believe are the most important. You will certainly need to read through and make any changes necessary, and you can do this by copying the text using this copy icon and pasting it into an editable document. When I'm happy, I can use this outline to create some questions. Go back to ChatGPT proper and ask it to create some questions for me. Now, once again, I will need to look through these questions and check they are okay, but this has made the long and tedious task of creating quick learning check quizzes for students a great deal easier.